He is.
There we go.
Victoria, can you hear me?
We can hear you, John.
Thank God. Computer issues this morning, guys. I'm all in now. We're live on Facebook and we're recording, and it's 8:34. So I log on to my computer this morning after spending probably about 2 hours preparing for this call. And of course, I log on at 8:20 and my computer says, need to reboot. Gonna take approximately 15 minutes. I'm like, oh, that's great. So much for preparation, right? I guess I learned I probably need to do that first. Okay, talk to me. Tell me something good. Let's get some positive energy going. What's going on?
I'll start, John.
Cool.
I was telling before, but I don't know if you heard me. I got the book and I started reading it last night to try to catch up. It's pretty incredible. But the other ones, all the Andy Andrews, I mean, they're on my audio, but I have them shipped to my house because I feel like I have to follow you. I have to like have every book by my side every morning to keep up with you.
Well, I think that's awesome. I'm so happy for you. And yes, if you could see my workspace, there's usually at least 10 books that are within arm's reach that I'm reading in preparation to bring value to all of you. So my gratitude is to you, because I'm not sure I would do this if it wasn't for that. So I'm growing because you're growing.
So I'm going to go next.
Yes, look at that.
And I'm even turning my screen on.
Yes.
Because this book was a gift from Deanna Hendricks, which is a member in our group.
Yeah.
And I just want to let her know I so appreciate it and thank you. Whenever you do things for people, God always sends a blessing another way. So thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Carolyn. And you're absolutely right. It's impossible to shine a light into somebody else's path without shining a light into your own. Who's next?
I'm next.
Love it.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, John. So on Sunday, I got a text message from someone before I got my license. I used to work, I was a realtor's assistant. So this was a tenant that I had placed 3 years ago. And of course, I didn't keep their contact info, but they kept my personal cell phone number. And they sent me a text and said, hey, listen, you did such a great job for us 3 years ago. Can we, would you help us again? Now we're empty nesters. We want to downsize, 1 bedroom, 1 bath condo. So yesterday I went out to show them condos, but it was rentals. At the end of the conversation, I said, just out of curiosity, if you knew someone who was interested in buying or selling real estate, would you refer them to me? And they said, oh, you know what? Maybe we should buy. And I said, really? So we went from a rental to a potential sale. So last night I sent their info over to, the lender that I work with to see if we get them if they can get qualified. And if they can, we'll go for a purchase. And if they can't, we'll go for a rental. So it's, win-win either way. So I was just so humbled by the fact that they would have kept my cell phone because I really try to, give everyone a wow experience when I work with them. So that really just was such it just was such a feel good that someone would 3 years ago. And then they told me that 2 years ago they tried to buy and they worked with another realtor that someone else had recommended to them. And, but it was, their employer. So they were like, oh, but it just didn't work out. And I was like, wow, okay. But, let's go through the process. I'm going to do my best for you. So that's my, my great thing from yesterday.
Love that. Thank you for sharing that, Sarah. And way to be in curiosity, come from contribution, think service first. And that is amazing opportunity. Now, you may find out it's not opportunity right now. It might be an opportunity 6 months from now, but it's still opportunity. And gratitude to you, because you sent me a very nice email last week. I don't know if I responded, and if I didn't, please forgive me. And it really meant a lot to me, more than you know.
Oh, thank you. You have meant a lot to me, and hopefully I was able to convey at least a portion of, what you've meant to me, how you've helped me. And just so you know, it's not just that you helped me, I'm a sharer. So I share with other folks. My accountability partner is in Kansas City. I met her in Bold 2020. So we do 2 days a week, Mondays and Wednesdays, we get together for script practice and role play. And then we in the morning, and then we check in for 15 minutes at the end of the day to keep each other accountable. And so I was telling her about your call. So she's now watching you on Facebook, watching the Facebook Lives from a whole different state. So it's not just that you've poured into me, it's what you've poured into me. My cup overflows and allows to share to other people. So you're not just for the folks on the call, and not just for we're going further and beyond. And she is a KW agent also. So you're just reaching out so far, John, and it's so appreciated and so grateful. And maybe not on the other side of eternity, you may find out exactly, wow, these are all the people that, that you were allowed to touch and that you blessed.
Thank you, Sarah. That's incredible. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's the butterfly effect, and Andy Andrews talks about the butterfly effect in Traveler's Gift. And time allowed, I'll share that story. And if time not allowed, I won't share it today, but I will share it another time. It's incredible. Okay, let's get started, guys. I want to start by sharing my screen, and we are going to pick up where we left off yesterday, which is our 12-week 135 in order to take 12 listings. And what we've done so far is we've identified our 3 priorities in order to achieve our 1 goal, which is 12 listings in the next 12 weeks. And those 3 priorities are prospect and market, build our database, and market to our database in a systematic way. Now, what we did yesterday is we turned our 135 into a scoreboard, and we created a daily process in order to track our daily activities. Now, in a 135, activities are called strategies. And just like in sports, we're watching a scoreboard. We're not just paying attention to the score. The score is the results. The score is how many listings did you take. We're also paying attention to the stats. So in sports, as we talked about yesterday, if I'm at a football game, the stats are yards rushing, yards passing, first downs, turnovers, and so on. And if you pay attention to the stats, you don't even have to look at the score. You'll eventually know who's going to win the game just based on the stats. Well, in your real estate business, if you pay attention to your stats or your daily activities, your strategies, and you're keeping score, then you don't even have to pay attention to the results. You don't have to pay attention to the score. You'll know how you're doing over time in reference to, are you winning the game? And in this conversation, winning the game is I didn't pause on, I didn't forget what I wanted to say, guys. I want you to finish the sentence. In this conversation, winning the game is
lead generation.
So the scoreboard tells us this when we look at the scoreboard.
Listings taken.
There you go. That's winning the game.
Listings
Period.
taken.
Now, Camille, lead generation.
Yes.
I love that you said that, because that's almost always the answer to every question that I ask. So I think that was your default answer, right? And in this conversation, you're never right or wrong. However, you're wrong.
Oh.
Yeah, winning the game would be taking 12 listings. There we go. So here's what I got for you today. We're going to talk about accountability versus ownership. And Sarah, you just talked about accountability, and I'm going to change the way you look at accountability just a little bit. I still want you to have an accountability partner. Yeah. I just want you to look at this a little bit different when it comes to this conversation. And again, I'm pausing to let people in because we don't have a password. Maybe that would be a great idea. Okay. So let's start by talking about committing to the daily activities that lead to our desired result. So far, so good, right? In order to score the highest score possible in those daily activities on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, we're going to have to commit to the daily activities that lead to our desired results. So what is a commitment? So here's the definition that I found that I love. Commitment is the state of being bound emotionally or intellectually to a course of action. Commitment is the state of being bound emotionally or intellectually to a course of action. Now, there's 4 keys to successful commitment. Number 1, I need to have a strong desire. In order to fully commit to something, I need a clear and personally compelling reason. In order to commit, I need a clear and compelling reason in order to commit. The desired end result needs to be meaningful enough to get you through the hard times. When you're on a journey with a destination that is assured, there will be giants in your path. You will face hard times. You will be tempted to quit or give up or settle. And a commitment needs to be tied to a strong desire. In order to fully commit to something, I need a clear and personally compelling reason. The desired end result needs to be meaningful enough to get you through the hard times. 20% activities are the activities that will produce the result that we're after. So we're going to focus on 20% activities. You know, in the 12-week year, the author refers to 20% activities as keystones. So when you're reading this book and you're hearing him talk about keystones, he actually references it down to 1 or 2 keystones that we focus on every day that lead to the desired result. What other book do you know, written by Gary Keller, does that sound like? I'll give you, there it is. There it is, the one thing. That's it. What's the one thing that I could do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? All right. The third thing that we need to focus on is we need to start by counting the cost. That may sound a little bit odd, but we need to start ahead of time and consider the cost of the commitment that it's going to take to those daily activities, to your 20%, in order to achieve the desired result. So too often we claim to commit to something without considering the cost. Oh, I'll do this. Sounds great. I'm in. Cost includes time. The time that it's going to take in order to achieve the desired result. Cost can also include money. It includes risk. Now listen really closely, because this is super important. Matter of fact, if you looked at my notes, it's in bold print and in all caps. The greater the potential return, the greater the risk. So the larger your goal, the greater the risk. Cost also includes uncertainty, loss of comfort, and so on. We need to consider all of these things before we start, because we have to be willing to say, okay, I get it. That's the cost. That's what it's potentially going to cost me, and I'm still all in. I'm still committed to these activities, my daily 20%, in order to achieve the desired result, because the desired result is to take 12 listings in the next 12 weeks. And I have a compelling reason to do that. By taking 52 listings in the next 52 weeks, I'm going to close 40 sellers. And for every seller I close, I'm going to close a buyer. So I'm going to close 40 buyers. That means I'm going to close 80 transactions. If my average commission check is $6,000, I just made $480,000. Here's what I'm going to do with that money. Here's how that's going to change my life. Here's the cost of not achieving that goal: future positive versus future negative. Do I have a compelling reason to do this? Because it's not going to be easy. There's cost involved. Is it worth it? Identifying the cost before you commit allows you to consciously choose whether you are willing to pay the price of your commitment. This is your choice. You have to consciously, boy, I love that word. You have to consciously choose whether you are willing to pay the price. Now, here's where accountability comes into the conversation. I can't hold you accountable to that. I can call you, we can have a conversation. You can tell me what you did. I can tell you what I did. We can even attach a penalty if you don't do it. And yet it's still your choice. It is a myth that by being in an accountability, Sarah, don't get mad at me. It is a myth that by being in an accountability conversation that you're going to achieve your goals. It's not necessarily true, because you can still choose not to do the activities. Act on commitments, not feelings. There will be times when you won't feel like doing the critical activity. So let's say, for example, that I decide that I'm going to run a marathon. By the way, I've run 2. And I'll never do it again. And typically, the commitment to run a marathon is, over time, going to take up to 3 hours a day, every day, to train in order to run that marathon. Now, let's just say your workday starts at 8 a.m. and you're going to run a marathon. Where are you putting that time in? Probably in the morning, which means you're running from 4 to 7 a.m. in the morning in order to prepare for that marathon. Think about the cost. Is it worth it? You're going to have to pay a price. Act on commitments, not feelings. So let's say you decide, okay, I'm committed, I'm going to do this. Now you're going to wake up at 4 in the morning and it's 40 degrees outside and your bed is nice and toasty and warm and you don't want to get out of bed. You don't feel like getting out of bed. It feels better to stay in bed, sleep in, and be warm. Now, are you going to act on that feeling, or are you going to act on your commitment? The same thing is true to your real estate business, guys. If one of the activities that you define that you're going to do in those strategies in order to achieve your goals is to knock on 100 doors a week or 20 doors a day, are you always going to feel like doing that? No, most of the time you're not. Are you going to act on the feeling, or are you going to act on the commitment? Now, I know it. Yeah. Absolutely, Camille. And I know it's nice outside right now. I love how much we're talking about the weather. Holy cow, I was on James Shaw's call. I think the call was 30 minutes and 20 minutes of it was about the weather. All right, this is live. I'm going to get in trouble for that. And It's July. It's 95 degrees outside and 180% humidity. And I exaggerate a lot, guys. It's not there's no such thing. And you're going to knock on 20 doors a day. Are you going to feel like doing it? No. Are you going to act on the feeling or are you going to act on the commitment?
Commitment.
Acting on feelings creates do-overs. I'm going to say this again. It's important. Acting on feelings creates do-overs. If you continually restart, you will eventually give up or settle, which is also giving up. Success is a choice. Accountability is a myth. Now, I didn't say it. He did. So don't be mad at me. Be mad at this guy. Talk to me.
When you talked about the taken score yesterday, that's a daily taken score, right? Because your 135 is you have to do that daily.
Camille, when I was in production, when I was selling real estate, I kept score in 15-minute increments.
Okay.
And Monica's sitting on the other side of the house over here, and she can come over here and tell you, he's telling you the truth. That's exactly what he did.
Well, that's the only way to be accurate also.
Well, when you're driving from here to wherever you go, do you close your eyes and open them every 5 minutes to make sure you're still on the road?
No.
Keep them wide open.
You
Right.
you better.
Hey, John, can you describe exactly what that looked like in practice?
Yeah, I can. I have a tracker that I keep by my desk that I track calls, contacts, appointments scheduled, referrals, personal notes, contacts added to my database. And Sean, you have to look at me. I'm just doing ticks. It's calls, contacts, appointments, referrals, personal notes, people added to my database. And every 15 minutes, I'm just making little tick marks in each one of those boxes so that when I look down at my tracker in the last 30 minutes, there's nothing on the tracker. That means I got distracted. That means somebody came into my office and wanted to talk about the football game yesterday. It's quadrant 4 activity, not urgent, not important, but fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I got distracted.
Okay. Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Cool. All right, talk to me, guys. Come on. Ahas.
Hi, John.
Questions. Hello.
So I really love how you said act on commitments, not feelings. And it, for instance, like working out, like I never feel like working out. However, when I actually do work out, I feel so amazing after. When I start seeing results in my body, I feel so amazing after. Like, just like real estate, you know, like now this was very hard for me being in the office at 7:30. I never thought the day would come where I could actually be in the office at 7:30, and now it's here. Anything that you put your mind to, like, just stop. You know, we tend to come up with excuses for ourselves. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And you're right. Like, acting on feelings create do-overs. Okay, well, I didn't do it today. I'll do it tomorrow. And it's like, no, just start right now. And eventually, when you want something so bad, you'll get sick and tired of being in the same position where you start taking the steps to get where you want to be. And I finally got to that point where I was over it. I was over the excuses. I was over not making progress until I started doing it.
Love it.
Your desire has to be greater
Love
than
it.
the challenges.
So Shauna,
when you do it with a result, when you know that there's going to be a result, you know, there's results in whatever we do, our commitments, you know.
100%. However, you're going to have times where you're going to question whether or not that's true. I promise you, there's going to be times that you're going to question whether or not that's true. And Camille,
You're
there's going to be
absolutely
time,
right.
there's going to be times when you're the only person who thinks it's true, who believes it's true. When Christopher Columbus was sailing the Atlantic Ocean in search of a new world on 3 ships. Somebody on the call knows the names of the 3 ships. I don't.
Santa Maria, Pinta.
There you go.
Nina
And
Pinta and Santa Maria.
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
And every single one of his, everybody else, I can't think what to call them, sailors? No. Everyone but him. But I'm excited, I can't talk. Everybody but him wanted to turn around and go back. Everyone but him believed they were never going to find the new world. And yet, he knew they would. And it was because of that faith that they kept going. Now, the way I look at things, they were always there. Because time is man-made. When you step outside of time, they were there before they started the journey. In other words, you've already succeeded at whatever goal you set. Now it's up to you to complete the journey. Only 2 things can happen. You'll keep going and you'll see the future that you believe exists, or you'll give up and you won't.
And that's why it's so important to have the GPS and the 411 in front of us, right in front of us, you know, in front of your face.
Always.
I
Yeah.
need that mind blown icon. Seriously, John, you know, applying this in personal life, weight loss journey. Oh my gosh. Yes. Sit down and write down why it's important to me and what do I need to sacrifice or what is the cost and what do I need to do, and keep that in mind and stop acting on feelings. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, this was great today.
Love it. Super. All right, it's 9:02, time to get to work. What is work? Work is 20 conversations, not 17, not 18, not 19. If you settle for 17 because it's close enough, or you're gonna make it up tomorrow, you won't, by the way. The 18th call could have been $1 million listing that you didn't get because you didn't have the conversation, and you never are even going to know that you didn't get the listing. Now, every day, focus on making care calls, not sales calls. Lead with gratitude, bring value to every single conversation. Every day, I'm going to focus on getting an appointment, getting a referral, adding somebody to my database. Matter of fact, my job description is 20 conversations and 1 appointment booked, whichever comes last. I'm going to find somebody today who's thinking of buying a home or selling a home. And I'm going to get face-to-face with them, which means I'm going to get face-to-face with 250 people over the next 50 weeks, 5 days a week. Those 250 people are going to live in my pipeline that I'm going to follow up with forever, because there are no bad leads. And by following up forever, I'm creating emotional proximity. And I follow up forever because I reject rejection, and because no is not a word that lives in my vocabulary. No simply means not yet. People will not change their mind, but what they will do is make a new decision based on new information, and you're going to stay in touch with them until you can provide them with that new information. They're going to change their mind, and the answer is going to be yes, I'm working with you. Even when you heard, I'm never going to hire you, never going to hire you, never going to hire you, never going to hire you. You will eventually hear, yes, I am working with you because you followed up forever and because you rejected rejection. Make it a great day, everybody.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
John.
John.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Thanks, everybody, for being on the call. Have an awesome day.
Bye.
Yes.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. All right.